Season's greeting, my friend. How are we?
Really good, really good, really good. So we're coming up to it, mate. We're coming up to it. But what can I say? We've got so much to get through today, haven't we?
We've got bits to catch up on about some sort of football tournament that went on, and there's also some games this weekend, I think. But anyway, we'll catch up in about 30 seconds time.
The other side.
To Martinelli in the box, Gabriel Martinelli. It's now with Granit Xhaka. Is it going to be the third goal? It is the third goal. Granit Xhaka with it. That seals it.
Good evening. How are we doing, my friend?
Mate, it feels like it's really hard to explain. It just feels like we haven't sort of done the show for like years. It just
It's
feels
only
like
been a couple of weeks, but I think because obviously so much has happened with the World Cup and stuff, I think like it does seem a long time ago because the World Cup is finished now. But even though it was a shorter World Cup, it just seemed to be a lot involved in it. A lot of stuff happened in a short space of time to process, and all of a sudden now we've got a Premier League fixtures are back, and domestic football's back at the moment with the EFL Cup. It's just like all kind of happening at once, and there's Christmas going on. It's crazy, but it's good. I like it. It's all good, but it's nice to see you.
And mate, it's fabulous to see you as well, my friend, and obviously everybody else that's in here. But the other part that dawned on me as I was running upstairs with my obligatory bottle of wine and glass as well, my friend, a
Yes.
cool Yule, and to everybody out there was we're a year into this. We're a year into it. Where has it gone? Where has it gone from those shows that we sort of started with at the beginning of the journey? And here we are, And I remember I was adamant. I sort of turned around and said, top four, and we're going to do this, we're going to do that. We're top of the league. We're actually top of the league right now. We've come through the other side, and I'm sure we're going to talk a little bit about it. But I think for me, it was just that moment that sort of thing. Where has this year gone? What have we been doing? How's my liver managed to actually take it? From the issues. Maybe I needed that. Well, maybe I needed that breakaway. Maybe I needed it. I don't know, mate.
Do you know what? I'm with you on that too, really. I mean, I think that I wasn't looking forward to the World Cup being as it was, but obviously I did watch it in the end, and I did get a lot of enjoyment out of it. The World Cup final, for once, was an amazing game of football.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it has been quite a nice break. Do you know what I mean? And because there wasn't that usual build-up between the season stopping and then 3 or 4 weeks of the World Cup, it was kind of like quick. And now we're literally out of the World Cup and it's starting again. It's been okay. It's been much better than I thought it was going to be. I was dreading how it was going to be, but it's been it's been a lot better, and the transition's been a lot better. So it'll be very interesting to see how the teams respond, not just Arsenal, how every team responds. It's going to be really, really interesting. I was having this conversation this week with a friend of mine. You met before, Chris, Everton fan, and we were chatting away, and again, like, no one knows. It's a real kind of like it's going to benefit some teams. I think it's going to have a real negative effect on others. I was out last night actually with my mate who's a Forest fan, and he was a bit. And I was saying to him, "You must have been quite happy about that break." And he was like, "Well, actually, no." He said that even though the results weren't quite there, the performances have got a lot better. And now they've had that kind of break, so he's kind of now worried about how they're going to respond. Although they won 4-1 last night in the EFL Cup, so he was quite happy about that. So there's a lot of people out there who just don't have a clue of how these teams are going to react, how the players are going to be, and I'm kind of quite intrigued in a way. I think it's going to be a really interesting, first couple of weeks back, because it's literally all go. It's like 2 games a week now, forever, pretty much. It's like till the end of the season. I mean, as my mate rightly pointed out, it's just like being back in the Championship again. Playing 2 games a week in the Football League, which is very, very true.
Sure. No, for sure, mate, for sure. I think you're absolutely right. And we sort of touched on it on Monday. And I think if you look at the teams, you look at the pace, you look at the way they were playing, the World Cup was until the very last knock-ins, not full Premiership tilt. It wasn't at the sort of the pace and it wasn't at the energy levels that you get within a Prem. I sort of realised that I did actually sit back and realise I'm not doing the World Cup a disservice when I say that, but I realised kind of how spoilt we are with the Premiership. That's quite one, but a good portion of our team didn't go. They didn't.
No.
They didn't actually go. We've had all of the friendlies in between, and I know Rich wasn't a big fan of the friendlies, but I think for me it was because it was the capability of the team to actually get up to speed and keep that tenacity there that we had at the beginning. And I went to the Juve game, as you know, on Saturday. Of course, I didn't win, and I don't like it when we don't win. But I was of the opinion that actually looking at it, we're back at the pace, mate. We're absolutely at the pace.
Good.
We're absolutely back on it, and I think we'll be ready for Boxing Day. I think we'll be ready to take that team on. And I think everybody looks really sharp, really sharp. Gutted for Reece Nelson. Absolutely gutted that he came out of that injury.
As you know, I was in the chat on Monday, on the show on Monday. I couldn't quite get there in time to join in and that, but I didn't watch the Juventus game at all on Saturday. And I've seen various degrees. Evening, Loki. Good to have you on board, mate. I've seen various degrees, and I was quite happy to hear your views and Melvin's views as well, because if you don't actually talk to someone, you read stuff on Twitter, it sounds like it was an absolute diabolical show. Awful. But when we listen to you guys, who I completely trust, sounds like it was all right. You know what I mean? It was just.
No, I thought the first half, and it goes back to what we're saying. If you look at the Juve game, I mean, it wasn't the number one Juve team. And I think we had a strong team out. Odegaard looked on form. It was brilliant because it was brilliant. It was bad and brilliant in a couple of ways. In fact, there weren't as many fans. And so the stewards kind of said, it was really cool. He said, move down. Like, whatever you do, guys, move right down, fill up all the best things. So I was right down at the, where my seat is, on the corner up. But I was right down the front, and I could hear Odegaard screaming at everybody. I could hear the conversation. I could hear Ramsdale screaming at people. And so, we look at the players. We look at Ramsdale. You look at Ben White. They haven't really done anything in the World Cup. And so, they've had a good rest. Bukayo Saka obviously played in all of those games, and he wasn't sort of there. But look, the energy and fluidity was there. Partey was absolutely spot on. Xhaka, it's really weird. Like, he made that mistake, scored that first goal. That was it at a really stupid time. One thing that really scared me, well, it's not scared me. One thing that was of massive concern to me was our goal threat. And I'm sorry, Eddie just didn't do it. He didn't look at the part. But again, everybody's playing down a level. They were quick. Tierney was. You could see Tierney was starting to ramp up towards the end of the game, was really getting their pace on, getting at the guys, but it's a very resolute Juve team. So I'm confident and I feel comfortable that we're at the pace that we need to be ready for the game against West Ham. Absolutely, mate.
Do you expect to see a pretty much first choice 11 for the West Ham out of the players that are available? Do you expect to see Saka starting, for instance?
Yes. 100%. We're going to see Martinelli. We're going to see Saka. We're going to see Odegaard. Because ultimately, I'm trying not to be horrible to Harry Kane, but I'm going to be. Of him skying that penalty. That, in fairness to Harry, you would have put your house on him scoring that.
Yeah.
As he skied it over the bit. They haven't gone all the way into the tournament. Now, I'm not a professional athlete by any means. Never have been in my life, but I would imagine from a conditioning perspective, those guys just ready to get back on the horse again. Jet lag and everything else that's sort of taken apart. But you look at Martinelli. Have you seen the press around? To go off on a slightly different tangent, but have you seen the press around Martinelli recently?
Around the new contract, or
the new contract, or Ronaldo? What Ronaldo's come out, not Cristiano Ronaldo, Fat Boy Ronaldo.
Oh yes, no, I did hear about that. Yeah, but I'm not surprised. I mean, I think he should have been playing a lot more in the World Cup for Brazil. I don't know why he wasn't utilised as much. And I think it's good to see him in the press for the right reasons. It's good to get a player in the press for the right reasons, though.
100%. And all of our players are in the right way. There was a couple of bits that Thomas Partey did on Saturday. I was watching Thomas Partey, And there was just a couple of things. Man City 1-0 up against Liverpool, by the way. There was a couple of things I saw Thomas Partey do that were absolute genius, absolute stunners. Like some of the passing, his vision, the whole piece.
Yeah, he's great when he's on fire. When he's on song, he's such a good player to watch.
Absolutely, absolutely brilliant. Xhaka again, passing. So again, the momentum and pace was there. And we look at that game, and I think, as Rich said, I think it's going to be a springboard for us. It's a very important game.
It is.
I don't underestimate it, but statistically, I like my stats. When we start to look at where we're at, we've had 29 matches in total against West Ham, right? Of which we've won 76%. That equates to 22 wins. Okay, we've had 5 draws, and West Ham have beaten us basically twice. So I am confident from a head-to-head record perspective.
This is Premier League era, though, isn't it? This is Premier League era.
Yeah, we're not going back 100 years. Yeah, it's Premier League.
No.
So because it'd be even worse for West Ham.
As you said on Monday, we generally do all right at home with them. They're not a team that we really struggle with at home. Not to say that they're not a bad team. They're a very good team, I think, West Ham. And they always give you a game. They will always give you a game. But I am confident we'll get a result, just the fact that we should have a better team than them on the night. And there's no real players, I don't think, who are going to be, that struggling. I mean, Saliba was obviously the last one there, but he didn't kick a ball for France, but he was the last one there. They are going to be training, so the fitness shouldn't be an issue. The only one I was kind of had that question mark over would have been Saka, because he was used a lot in the World Cup, but he's had a couple of weeks now. He's had 2 weeks now since he last played for England. So I think we will get a straightforward team that we expect. Go back to Eddie a minute, right? So there's been a lot of things that annoy me at the moment, is that people are having a right go about Eddie Nketiah before he's even had a start. Okay, so I know you briefly touched on this the other night on the show, but do you think we will go and get another striker?
Yeah.
You do, yeah?
I've got a feeling, and I said it, and Rich, just quick one. From a statistics perspective, era of the Premier League, how many games at home do you think we've lost to West Ham?
I can only think of one. Or is it none in the Premier League era?
We've never lost never lost at home to West Ham.
So I'm thinking about that time when Sol Campbell went up at half time. That was Highbury, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That game, that's the one I could last think of. Didn't they beat us at the Emirates? Weren't they the first team to beat us? Like last team to beat us at Highbury, the first one at Emirates. Wasn't that a stat that West Ham had?
I'm looking at the stats right now, mate. 100% record. We've got at home against them.
My West Ham mates have always said that to me, and I've never really bothered to look it up because I'm never really threatened by West Ham. But that's interesting.
Oh yeah, but we got a good chance of winning. But sorry, you was going on. But Eddie, yes, we talked about Eddie.
So I don't necessarily think we will sign a striker. I do think we'll get players in, but I do think we're going to get a winger. Probably, it looks like Mudryk is going to come in, the Ukrainian guy, which would be amazing. That would, in theory, allow Martinelli to go more central, potentially. That's another option we've got. But I don't necessarily think we're going to see another striker, an out-and-out striker come in. And there's a couple of reasons why. One, they did reward Eddie with a new contract in the summer.
Yeah.
And the fact that they have given him a new contract, paying him $100,000 a week, for instance, they're going to have to play him. That part of that, to give him that kind of longevity, the extra 5 years, would be for him to be that backup striker. That would have had some sort of agreement. And he does need to be given a chance, I think. We come in the end of last season and he took his chance well, and I thought for the last sort of 6, 7, 8 games of last season, he was good. He played well for us. He created chances, he scored goals. So I think we need to give him a chance and judge him after 5 games, maybe. Let's get him in the team first and see how he does. And then thankfully we've got 5 games very, very quickly that gets us into sort of mid-January anyway. So there is still potentially time to buy after that. But I don't necessarily think a striker's our priority. I think our priority is going to be a midfielder and a winger, personally.
Yeah, no, I think he's going to go for a striker. I don't think we've got the luxury of giving Eddie a chance. We're at the top of the league. Got good. I think this is probably one of the only chances that we've got to come first or second very, very quickly. No, I'm actually wrong with my stats. My apologies. So, no, you were right. They did 2007, 2015. We lost at home to. So it was my stats.
Yeah, I thought
reading it
that's
wrong.
all right. I won't hold that against you. I won't hold
That's
that.
right, mate. We've got 100% record at home, though, for all the games that we played at home. So look, friendlies excluded. No, I don't think we have the luxury, unfortunately, of giving Eddie and Kessie the chance.
But my issue again is another reason why I am sceptical. Well, not sceptical, but why I don't actually see us getting another first choice striker is the fact that when Jesus comes back, he will be our first choice. So if you do go out and sign a bigger striker, they're not going to want to play second fiddle once Jesus is back. So this is another reason why I'm thinking that at this moment, if you've got Champions League football, it's a little bit different because you can guarantee a certain amount of time. I know within Europa League, for instance, but the other night you mentioned Vlahovic again. I don't want him. He turned us down last year. As far as I'm concerned, you get one chance, don't come back. But to use him as an example, if we did go and get him or someone like him, he would expect to be the main striker regardless of whether Jesus is injured or not. Someone like that wouldn't come in and then be out of the team in 8 weeks' time. It just wouldn't happen. So that everything for me is pointing at this stage that Eddie will be given that chance. Now, whether we get another up-and-coming striker to support Eddie, or someone who doesn't necessarily need to play, as the main man, I don't know. And I don't know who that is, or whether we go out. The most plausible thing for me would be to get someone on loan, a striker, would be to get a striker on loan for the second half of the season. But they're hard enough to buy, let alone get them on loan, who's going to be like Premier League ready. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, I'm not going to turn one down. If a world-class striker becomes available, I'm not going to say no. But I just can't see it because of the reasons I've said. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, but you know full well who's floating around as a world-class striker, who you could get for 6 months.
Well, obviously, yeah. Would you?
No.
Me neither. I'm not interested in that at all.
I just thought, well, Pat, the other part is what you got to look at is, and the one I did mention on Monday is there a question maybe? Well, I think with Reece Nelson being injured, is there not a case maybe to actually move Bukayo Saka into that central position as well?
Well, he's never really played there. I mean, I think he could obviously do a job in most positions. He's proven wherever he's been asked to play, left back, right midfield, left wing, right wing, he's done a job. Do you know what I mean? Like, who's to say he couldn't do a job up front? He's finishing certainly good enough when he's on form. I mean, you saw that in the World Cup.
And that's the part. He's scoring with. It was Richard turned around and said it. I think it was. He's scoring with both feet. I just want to bring this stat up. Actually, Loki's just said Martinelli down the middle. Right.
Yeah,
interesting.
I'm all for that.
We've said that. So we've said that, Loki, on a couple of times. However, Martinelli's actually come out and said, I don't really want to go down the middle.
No, he has said that, yeah.
I quite like it coming in from the left. And I did say, and if you look at Jesus and where he fits, we look at Jesus, he's an interesting player because where he does, everyone's going, oh, he doesn't score goals. The usual Luddite knuckle draggers on Twitter that kind of come out, and I'm sure we're going to go on to a few of those. Did you get that last one I tagged you in, by the way?
I did, yeah, I did.
Awesome. So you get those Luddite knuckle draggers that turn around and go, ooh, yeah, all this, but if you look at our goals, a lot of goals have come actually not from the striker; it's come from all around. Odegaard.
Yeah, it's true, and that's what I like about it. 10 different strikers 10 different goal scorers in the Premier League. Says it all for me.
So we have got a diversity within our goal scoring capabilities. But what Jesus does do, is I'm going to put that comment up in a sec. What he does do is he will bring the defenders out, make that space, bring everybody in. So the only one I'm thinking, the only reason I think that he's probably going to look at a striker is the likes of someone like João Felix. Like
It's a lot of money though. Like considering the problem, I like Joao Felix. I do like him. I don't think he's. I don't think he's up there. I don't think he's like that. I think he's got potential to be, but I also don't think he's that out and out striker. He is more of that shadow striker. He's more of a Griezmann type kind of role, the way I see him. But they're going to want upwards of 80 million for him. We can't afford that in January when we've already got to buy probably another winger, possibly another midfielder. It's just not going to happen for me.
You don't know. You don't know. You
We
don't
don't know
if the Kroenke's going to put their spun all by.
I mean, you'd love to see that. You'd love to see the Kroenke just say, "Look, we're in a great position. Here's 150 million. Go and get three great players." That'd be great, but I just can't see it.
Adam, let's just try a different one. We put it out. So you're the owners of Arsenal, right? So you're it's Social Xtra Arsenal FC. Okay, we own them. We're top of the league, 5 points clear. Your rivals are stumbling. You look at Chelsea; they're having real problems, but they'll come back at some point once they fire Potter, I think. You look at the likes of Liverpool; they're not doing too well. Man City are being Man City; they've had a little hiccup, so you've got this laser focus there. Man United are starting to come back at it. Newcastle are coming at it. What'd you do? Did you go for broke? For me, I'd go for broke. I'd turn around and think to myself, win Europa League. Let's put the money in. Win Europa League. Because they could fill this stadium 10 times over.
Yeah,
absolutely. The waiting lists are so long, people can't get tickets. So as a business, from a business mind perspective, I'm looking at this, the monetization that you could have on the likes of Joao Felix, and I don't think Joao Felix will be 80 million upwards. I genuinely don't. I think he'll be a lot less. It'll be like Coutinho going to Aston Villa. The other one, so for me, I'll be looking at the manager and saying, well, what do you think? Where we're at? You've taken us this far. And we go back a season and a half, where we are today, we're in a totally different sphere. And we genuinely are contenders for Champions League. We're genuinely contenders for top 4, maybe top 2. And I think we just need 2 or 3 players to just get us over that hump. But how many times have we said this before as Arsenal fans?
Exactly.
2 or 3.
I mean, yeah, obviously it's easier hypothetical to talk about that. You would. I mean, it's a great opportunity. We're in a position now. One thing we've got to realise, we're not even halfway through the season. We're 14 games in the season.
Yeah.
There's still a hell of a lot of way to go. So I don't think they're going to go for broke. Let's say they're not going to go for broke this early. That's why I think that any transfer dealings that happen probably won't happen until the back end of January, because they're going to want to see how those next 4 or 5 games go. Get Arsenal up to the halfway stage. If we're in a position then still where we are top 2, top of the league, for instance, in the next 4 or 5 games, we go well, and they can assess how Jesus' injury is coming on. They can assess how Emil Smith-Rowe injury is coming on. That will have a massive impact, because if we're in a strong position still, and those 2 are coming back ahead of scheduled, I don't think they'll go for broke. I don't think they will. But I also don't think Arteta will just buy for the sake of it. He's proven that he wants a certain type of player, and he's obviously got certain type of players earmarked for potentially in the summer, for instance. But and he's always said, even last year, he was only going to buy the players if he can get them in January. And they weren't, which is why we did it. Yeah, so I don't think we're going to be reactionary signings. I don't think we're going to get that, because I think it's very planned. I think our transfer seems to be very, very planned. Certain type of players at this period, like it's budgeted for. It seems very, very kind of planned. So I do think we have got plans to add 1 or 2, but I don't think they're going to weigh too far off. The one thing that concerns me a bit though is, like I just said to you, I want to see Eddie given a chance. I think he deserves a chance. Let's be honest with you. And he's the kind of player that needs minutes to get himself going. 10, 20 minutes here and now, he's never going to get any momentum. But give him a couple of games, full 90 minutes or from the start. Let's see what he can do. And then let's judge him. Let's not judge him before he's even kicked a ball or in a friendly. Let's judge him in a competitive game. Give him a couple of goes. The problem I'm going to have, though, is that it will affect the way that we play, because he is a different person and a different striker to Jesus. He will not be the person who drops onto the wings or drops back. He will be that 18-yard box striker. So we are going to have to adapt our game slightly because Odegaard is not going to have someone who is going to drop in the holes, to pick up the ball and stuff like that. So that's my biggest concern. It's going to affect the way we play because as we played up until now, not many teams have been able to really get a hold of that. But we are going to have to adapt our play. That's my only concern.
No, and I think you're right. I think you're right, but I think we got the fluidity within the team to actually do that. And Loki, you're a very naughty boy.
I just saw that.
Yeah, very naughty boy. I don't put that one up. But yes, I kind of agree with what you're saying. But for me, like ultimately, we need to look at what we're going to do. So if we buy that Ukrainian guy, Modric, whatever his name is, then that says to me, let's push Martinelli or Bukayo Saka into the more Martinelli, I would have thought, into that striker's role and give him the opportunity. I've got a feeling. So what I'm seeing, the other one is I'm seeing in the media a lot around Fernan Torres as well, who I think
evidently we tried to get him before the window shut in the summer, didn't we? He's a good player, and I think obviously Arteta knows him. I think obviously I'm assuming that Torres was at City when Arteta was there. I don't quite know the crossover.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
And obviously they would have been scouting him anyway. They would have scouted him before. He's Spanish, obviously. They know about him. He is someone I think would fit in our system very, very well.
Yes.
The way he plays, his stature as well. He's that kind of clever, diminutive striker, similar to Jesus in that respect. But he's not an out-and-out striker. He's someone who can get across all front three positions.
Yeah,
gives you that flexibility.
See him more as a sort of attacking midfielder, really, more than anything with him.
Like that false nine, they say now, like a false nine.
So, and I think he would make a great addition to our team. So, and I said the other day, Tielemans would make sense to me. Not as a number one, as our number one, not in goal, definitely. Not as a regular, but as a backup. With the likes of Mo. Like, I'm sorry, I love Mo Onelli's just like he puts his heart and soul into everything he does.
I mean, Tielemans just improves the squad straight away. Yeah. The squad's there. If you get an injury to Xhaka or Partey, you're not as worried. You got Tielemans in there, you're not as worried. And I do think Tielemans is a potential Xhaka replacement further down the line.
Yes,
you can't replace him right now. Xhaka's been, I think, our best player this season, our most consistent player.
Yeah, him and
them two. So, but Tielemans has still got age on his side. Do you know what I mean? Tielemans is still got very. He's 24, isn't he? So he's still got a lot to go. So there's not that much of a. For me, it's a no risk signing of Tielemans, and I would have hoped we would have got him in the summer, but it's whether we go for him now and pay a nominal fee, or whether we wait and get him in for free in the summer.
Got to go for him now.
I think so.
I think if it's 5-10 million for a player like that's signed, done, dusted, Premier League.
It's worth it. It's worth having that in the squad for the second half of the season.
Absolutely.
100%. Those are the two realistic I could think. Tielemans and Modric are the two I can realistically see coming in. But you never know. We'll probably snap up some youngsters as well. For next to nothing. No, but they're not always bad, are they? Let's be honest. They're not always bad.
The one that broke my heart a little bit on Saturday was Marquinhos. He looked like a bit of a broken player. There's a few times Xhaka didn't pass to him, didn't move the ball over to him. Everyone was kind of on his back. I can see his confidence is at an all-time low. And I think he definitely needs to go out on loan. Felt really sorry for him.
I think he needs minutes, doesn't he? He just needs minutes in that first team environment where, so that's fine. We didn't really expect him to be that breakthrough this year. But again, let's be realistic. Let's give him a chance. I think that's happened before if you think about it. Players have stayed with the squad for the first half of the season and then gone out second half on loan. It's happened before, and I can definitely see that happening. But if he's not going to get game times with us, then let him go somewhere else.
Let's give the kid the opportunity to come back strong, because he is an amazing force and he's a really, really good player. But you could tell his confidence is just shot to bits. He wasn't even as he was walking around the. That's a good shout, actually, Loki. Hold on a sec.
Do you want to catch up on the chat? Do you want to share some chat stuff with you?
I'm going to catch up on my wine in a minute, mate. Let's just have a little look at what we got there. So, Trossard from Brighton, contract running low. What are we thinking on that one?
I think he will. If Potter stays at Chelsea, I think he'll follow Potter to Chelsea. I'd be more interested in McAllister from Brighton, if I'm quite honest with you.
What does he bring? What does he bring to us?
Who, McAllister?
Yeah.
He's another central midfielder, really, but he's like, I don't necessarily think we need him, but I like him as a player.
Yeah.
Whenever I saw him in the World Cup, I liked it. He did not look out of place on the world's leading stage. That's the way I look at it. He looked completely at home playing in that team, and that's why I liked him. He's so composed. I've got something to share about him later as well, which makes me think he's a great personality as well. I'll show you that later. Right. But he's the one I really stood out for me, one of the players in the World Cup. Trossard, I've always liked, actually. And I think I've mentioned this to Rich and the guys during the past. He's, again, left-sided attacker. The fact that we're going after Mudryk, the fact that we've got Martinelli, I don't think we necessarily need someone else over that side.
I don't think we'll make it. So we got, though, Martinelli down the middle.
I like this, but I'm also the fact that when Martinelli first come to us and when he was getting games in the Europa League, that's where Emery was playing him. Emery was playing him down the middle and he looked good. But I do think he's so lethal down that left-hand side. He is like, an Mbappe, for instance. He's the closest thing there is there. He's got the pace, he's got the strength.
I think that's unfair to call him out Mbappe. Mbappe's an idiot, and I can drop kick him in his face. Martinelli seems like a really nice guy that I'd go for a drink with, to be honest with you.
I agree with you on that respect as well.
Yeah.
As a player, I just think that he gives us so much. The only reason I'd say is we've seen so many times this season when Martinelli gets that ball on that left-hand side, they're scared. Every single opposition player, every single right back is just petrified of him.
Yes.
Absolutely petrified of him. And I just think he gives us so much down that left because a lot of our football's been going down that left with him this year that I think that you could potentially weaken that part of our play by putting him down the middle.
Unless you bring like the Modric in. Apparently, though, he reminds me of Loki. It reminds me of RVP. I don't think he has horse placenta on his feet. I'm not saying that, mate. I don't think there's a horse placenta thing. You do remember that with RVP when before he disappeared off. Spent about 3 years injured with his foot with horse placenta, and then that was it. Went Man United and won everything. Really annoying.
Anyway, I don't like talking about him. I kind of know where Loki's coming from in that respect. I do kind of see that angle, but I think that Martinelli has said he likes to play on that left-hand side and cut in. He feels that's his strongest position. I'd say let's keep the boy happy. Let's keep him out there. If that's where he's happy, that's where he's confident. Let's do that.
Hang on. I'm just trying to think about someone who used to play on the left. Originally came quite famous for Arsenal. Ended up.
Oh, Mr. Thierry.
Yeah. So he play on the left and eventually was moved into the middle. So it could be the making of him.
Oh, I'm not against it. As I say, I do think he is cut out to be a central striker. Who knows? He might get a game there and he might score hat-trick and absolutely love it and say, right, that's it now. I'm staying. Don't worry about Jesus. You're not getting back in. That would be an interesting sight. But I don't know. I think at the moment, what's been working well is Saka, Martinelli, Jesus. That front three has been working really, really well. So I think if you can kind of minimalise, the disruption in that, then that's to minimalise that would be keeping Martinelli, keeping Saka, and dropping someone else in as a striker. That minimalises. Oh, as I'm already saying, we're going to have to adapt the way we play with Eddie anyway. So why adapt the game even more than we have to?
Yeah, I think that kind of works. Although I really want another striker. Sorry, Eddie, mate, and you're welcome to come on the show and ball me out, mate. And I'm sure Eddie's a lovely guy.
Listen, next week after Eddie scores 2 goals against West Ham, won't be saying that.
I'll drink two bottles of wine in his honour. That'd be fine.
We'll name. I think we'll name a segment of the show after him. He gets 2 goals. The Nketiah slot.
The Nketiah section, where I basically spend 5 minutes sort of saying sorry to Eddie about it. But look, I think we're going to struggle. We're going to struggle anyway to having a single striker trying to get us through the whole of the season. So if it's going to be a move for Martinelli, and it sounds like everybody's for it, and we've seen greats like, say, Henry and RVP and people like that actually being able to come in and, as Loki pointed out, being able to come in and actually play down that middle piece, do a job for us along with Eddie as well. then great, happy days. But I just think now's the time for us to actually maximise the opportunity that we have. I think if we invested in the team right now, we'd do particularly well. I'm definitely not putting that comment up in the from the group chat there. But yeah, I just think yeah, absolutely, we should come out fairly well over the next.
I just want to say one thing. I've missed Loki in the chat. I really have. I've missed him in the chat, Loki. Welcome back. Don't be a stranger. It's been a few shows since you've been on, but that last comment, no, we can't actually share it.
We will be back. We will be back for that one. That's very good. Very, very good.
All I'm saying, all it is I'm glad we're talking about an upcoming Arsenal game again. As much as the World Cup's been a nice distraction, I'm really happy that we are talking about an Arsenal game again. And what we got 2 coming up in very quick succession, followed by 2 more. This block's of 2 now. It's twos, all the way through. Let's see how it goes. There's going to be some interesting games this weekend. I think some of the teams that maybe struggled are going to be better for it, and I do think maybe we'll see some stronger teams will fall down a little bit. Anyone's now. It's a real, as I said before the World Cup, I think it's a real leveler. You know, it's great that we've got the points up on the board now already, but I do think this is a complete leveler. So let's see. Before we move on, I wanted to share some World Cup stuff because the World Cup's happened. I mean, it's all I'll say, World Cup final. I know it's been talked about a lot. What a game of football that was. I mean, come on, what a game of football. It had everything. I mean, like, especially when you're,
come on.
I was pretty much a neutral as well because, like, I've got no strong feelings for either nation, you know. But out of the 2 of them, I felt Argentina probably deserved it. That's my view, based overall. But yeah, we'll leave that there. But there's been a few little things that I wanted to kind of share in the World Cup. Have you seen Japan change their flag since the World Cup?
No.
You've seen this? It's really interesting. Look. Yeah, that's their new flag.
Reminds me of that the Frank Lampard goal that never was.
Well, you interestingly say about that because this was obviously VAR who actually, you know, who gave the goal, and I saw in the studios who was looking after VAR. You mentioned Frank Lampard. There he is.
I did. Look, for everybody out there, I honestly did not know he was going to do that. I did not know he was going to do that. Honestly, brilliant.
Well, no, that made me laugh. Obviously, we've not been at the show. There's been so much stuff happened. There's some stuff that I just wanted to keep in. Like that was brilliant. So looking back to Argentina, did you see the Argentina-Holland game? The quarterfinals? Did you see that one?
Yeah, I did.
But that up until the final, that was my favourite game of the tournament because that was just mental. Which had a lot to do with this fella. Like possibly the worst refereeing I've ever seen.
God, yeah. What planet was that guy on?
Like we moan about the referees in the Premier League. This guy is on another level. So I was looking at again the stats earlier. 15 on-field cards, including 1, and then 3 off-field, including I think the Argentina manager, one of the coaching staff, and he red carded a Dutch player during the penalty shootout.
Yeah,
like it's just mental. He lost complete control of it. The funniest bit for me was when I think his Paredes just booted the ball at the Dutch bench. That was just brilliant.
That was
I love that bit. And the ref did not know what to do then. He literally didn't have a clue. If you watch him in the replay though, they're all bundling in. Everyone's there. The ref's just literally like looking around, thinking, "What do I do?" Like, and I think by that chance, like this was in extra time. I think he booked like half the team already, and he realised that he couldn't send people off. But like the ending was all pretty good as well. The shithousery, really, excuse my French, for the Argies against the Dutch. I mean, there's some needle in there apparently from previous games, but that game for me had everything. And I mean, that Weghorst as well, 2 goals for Holland. Where's he been playing? Burnley fans must be absolutely fuming at the way he turned up.
Yeah,
couldn't get them out of trouble.
Didn't he get a card while he was still like he hadn't even come on? He gave him a card for something or the other.
So he come on. He got a card, I think, just before half time, and he come on in the second half. And I don't know why he carded him, but like as they were going off or something because of all that.
Yeah, it's giving him a whole load in years. So, by the way, just a quick one on that, slight little something. Paredes means means walls. Actually means ball. So when he booted that ball, even my missus, who is not a football fan, went, "Why has he just done that? Why hasn't he been sent off? He should have been sent straight off. Should have been sent straight off." But it was an interesting game. It was an interesting game, and like you, so I remember I don't want to do a nostalgia bit, but I remember Lionel Messi coming to the Emirates and watching him play against us with Neymar in that Brazilian team. And it was amazing. It was amazing to watch. He was absolutely brilliant. I've never seen a football player like it. And I liken it to like George Best and people like that, who I did actually have the pleasure of seeing play as well. I liken it to all these types of players. They're once in a lifetime players. And when I look at Mbappe, what I look at is a very spoilt child.
He's not the same.
Not
the same. He's got raw talent. He's fast. He can score goals, but he doesn't have that mystique about him. That little bit extra. I mean, you say about that. I remember when Real Madrid come to Highbury when we drew 0-0, and they had Figo and Zidane. And I remember watching them that night, and I was just like in awe. Zidane especially. Just incredible. Like when he got the ball, like everyone was just like stopping and just like Bergkamp kind of thing had it as well.
Yes.
You know,
Bergkamp.
And I think Mbappe is going to go and do amazing things. I think he is going to break scoring records. He's going to break World Cup records if he continues. But he hasn't quite got that little bit extra that the Messis and all that have. I know exactly what you mean.
And I'm going to massive shout out to. And I'll tell you why, to Martinez for the baby with Mbappe's face on it. Because you know what actually put me off Mbappe?
You mean this one?
That one, mate. Absolutely love that boy. Loved him. Love him for that. I mean, he hasn't had a particularly good season with Aston Villa recently, but love what he did there. And the reason I say that...
Right, I don't know. I've got mixed feelings about this. I don't think he needed to do this. I don't think he needed to do that. They've won already. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's Martin. He's a goalkeeper. He's obviously got a screw loose. I just don't think it needed to be done.
I do. I think it totally did. Now it's only because he made that stupid face when France scored against England. That pathetic face that he made, laughing at us. So I'll always support the England team. Even if it is Harry Kane that's running the line, because we'll lay into him. But so my view of it was I wanted Argentina to win because Lionel Messi's classy and Mbappe's just cheap. Really, he's the Lidl of the football world. So yeah.
What you talk about faces? Like I think I've got my favourite picture of the whole World Cup here. My favourite one was this one. That I love that. Absolutely love that. I don't.
What was he doing trying to get in on the World Cup thing? He wasn't even in the team, was he?
Yeah, he was. He was on the field. He'd come off. He was on the bench there. And he was playing. Oh, no, this is not Aguero. This is Suarez, mate.
Oh, Suarez. Sorry, Suarez. Yeah. I'm saying all these Spaniards look the same.
So this is Suarez crying.
I can say that before anyone calls me racist. I can say that.
He can say that. So this is Suarez when Uruguay were getting knocked out. Like they were through 1 minute, and then the game when the other one turned around. I remember watching this, and I was just laughing because watching Suarez cry genuinely was just quite happy moment for me. So thought I'd share that one as well. But there was some, I think, some interesting stuff that I'll quickly kind of share with you as well. Croatia, I thought, were another surprise team in the World Cup again. They just get the job done, don't they? But it's all thanks to this guy, really. All thanks to this guy. I don't know what he does, but the fact that I don't know how he stayed at Spurs so long. I mean, obviously, little gimmick here, but seriously, Modric, so he just drags that team completely.
Why would you get rid of it? Why would you let him go? Why would you let a player like that go when you desperately need that creativity?
It wasn't just that thing. It wasn't just that I liked about the Croatian team. There was also this certain lady who kept making an appearance.
Oh, well,
so look at the top and the below. So the top is obviously just a couple of locals. Sequence rolling down. Look at the locals then, phone straight out.
Taking pictures, cheeky. Yeah,
They didn't. They didn't. I was going to say they didn't seem to object too much about her not having much clothes on then, did they?
No, I find that fairly. Yeah, no, I'm not going to get into the political element of it.
No. Right. This is another thing. What I've got to quickly talk about before we move on a little bit. The World Cup, Messi got crowned. There's a lot of uproar about him putting on that what can only be described as a 90 that has since been on sale in Sports Direct. So you can now buy the Messi 10 World Cup 90, $22.99 Sports Direct.
Have you seen the Arsenal Messi World Cup 90 collection that's coming out? Yeah, that'll be coming out soon as well.
So, what did you make of this, right? What did you make of this? Because, I can see both sides of it. He obviously didn't want to have it on him. When he was trying to put it on him, Messi was very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he didn't want to upset anyone because evidently it is a show of honour to give someone this is honour. And I think fair enough, that's fine. But they could have pre-warned him. It was if they didn't pre-warn him. It was like, put this on, and he was like, what? It's like, and I do think it kind of spoilt the whole trophy lifting thing when he's walking around in a nightgown a little bit. Well, I don't know.
Look, the bottom line is we've seen from a cultural perspective, we've seen some and it was not. Yeah, look, I'm going to be honest. I had an argument on Twitter with somebody about it. They'd turn around and saying, "Well, you're not drinking. You should respect our culture. Let's not. You're out there not drinking." And I said, "I absolutely take that on board. That's why I stayed at home. I didn't go and see any of the games, because I would have gone out. But ultimately, I decided to stay at home, have a few beers, and watch England. So." And I think culturally, if it's a great show of respect, to actually have the coat put onto him, and that's an honour, then I think take that on board, 100%. And don't forget, he's being paid multiple millions by the Qataris to actually promote the Middle East and Saudis, isn't it? So that he's doing work with. So yeah, mate, that's all part and parcel of your bit. Your millions upon millions that you're making just out of the Middle East.
Very true. It's very true, I guess.
Yeah,
I just felt like when it was happening, I was like, "What's going on here?" He does not look happy at all. He does not look comfortable. When you read about it, I was thinking, fair enough. It's in their country. They wanted to show a bit of respect and a bit of honour. I kind of got that, but I just think that maybe he could have been pre-warned beforehand because there was no way that he knew that was happening. No way. They could have just had a little whisper in his ear. By the way, we're going to put this on you. It's a mark of respect. He could have looked a little bit more happy about it because he didn't take long in taking it off. Let's put it that way. But you went back. You mentioned earlier about Aguero. Okay, he's been getting a lot of stick, Aguero. But obviously, the thing you got to remember, he evidently Aguero was part of this. He obviously doesn't play anymore, but he was flown out about a week before the final and was rooming with Messi because Messi didn't have a roommate up until then because him and Messi are best mates. They're really best mates, and Messi is Aguero's son's godson. So they're really best mates. And evidently Aguero is still very, very tightly knit to a lot of the Argentine players. So they wanted him around the camp for a bit of morale because he's very well thought of in that. So he was a member of not coaching team, but he was a member of that contingent.
Yeah.
And the thing I loved about it the most that people are having a go about him is that, he's there in an Argentina shirt. He was there in an Argentina shirt as a fan. He was there as a fan wearing his country's shirt. And I quite like that. The fact that he was wearing an Argentina shirt. He wasn't trying to be a kit because he had normal shorts on. He didn't have an Argentina football kit shorts on. He just had Otamendi's shirt in the top. Otamendi, his mate used to play at City, obviously. And he was just supporting him. I quite like that. I thought that was quite a nice touch that they let him be there. And he's obviously
that guy Salt Bay coming on.
Oh, don't talk to me about that twat. Oh.
Yeah. Just like that, yeah. All right, let's get the over and over team in there and holding the World Cup and stuff like that.
There's a video actually, Gianni Infantino at Salt Bay's restaurant in Dubai went out. I saw it today. It's the most cringing video I've ever seen. I mean, watch it if you want to be cringe-worthy. But Infantino and Salt Bay together in one video just made me want to literally throw up. The steak looked pretty good though, to be fair. It did look pretty good.
I'm Basingstoke. I'll look after you, big man. You know that. We'll get you a steak bigger than that.
So we'll quickly just touch on England briefly before I go on to some more lighter stuff. So
yes, please.
Do we think that we for me, I predicted we'd go out in the quarterfinals. I predicted that we went out to France as well. and it happened. I mean, there's no surprise when this happened before the second penalty, really. That's, when I saw him line up like that, I thought we were in a bit of trouble there. And then I've got some carrying on from this. So that was obviously the first picture. Then there was a second picture, obviously there.
That's controversial. Well, but no, very topical actually for the time of year.
Very topical, exactly. That's what I thought. Very topical. And then we saw where it landed. So there we go. Like just to, that's where it landed. And then obviously there was the back pages the next day that we had to deal with. But going away from Harry Kane, I couldn't stop but laugh at Harry Kane for a little while. I had to. But I did. Unlike a lot of Arsenal fans, I did support England. And I did support Harry Kane. I didn't. A lot of Arsenal people, Arsenal fans, I'm going to say inverted commas on Twitter, were happy when Kane missed that penalty. No, not at all. I'm not having that. That was horrible. Sorry. Completely uncalled for.
As a nation, the one thing I do ask, though, sorry, mate, to cut across you. One thing I do ask is, I really hope that all the fan base throughout the Premier League do not ridicule or lay into Harry Kane in the same way they did with Bukayo Saka.
No way, no, not at all.
I genuinely don't do that. I mean, you tried to a lot of them tried to destroy, and that's not the Arsenal fans, Bukayo Saka, a young kid who's up and coming, actually world class. So I hope they don't do that to the England captain just because he took a bad penalty.
No,
genuinely, I'm saying
I agree.
That.
I hope we've learned from that. I hope we've learned from Euros now, and we can move past that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, no one wanted to see us go out. It was a bit, we actually didn't play that bad against France. Really, it was just one of those things. But a lot of it, I think we could have won it. I think if I'm beating that, who knows what could have happened. But one of the issues I've got is the media do hype up England so much when it comes to tournament football. But our record is not that great. And I saw this off Twitter earlier about England's World Cup recent record. And it's not great. So look, England's World Cup victories over the last 2 decades. And again, why the media hype them up is so much I'll never know. When you look at some of the bottom 3 were in this last World Cup. Obviously, we beat Senegal, Wales, and all. But you look up at the teams that we've beat in the past 2 decades. There's no what I would call top 10 teams out of all of those in the World Cup. But then every year we get built up. When we got to the semi-finals of the last World Cup, we stumbled into that because we won on penalties, not the greatest performances. We beat Panama by a lot of goals that tournament, but we still stumbled around. But this is the thing what annoys me. We've got no real history to back up why we should be in the top 4 or even the final based on the kind of teams that we play.
No, mate, I got to screw you. I think it's a bit unfair because I think actually we have a world-class team.
We do, but it doesn't necessarily transition onto the pitch.
No, we've got the best football in the world. But the Premier League doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter where you are in the world. We have the best football in the world. Right, end of story. And I don't care what anybody says. MLS, that's the backwaters. Any of the European leagues, bar the Spanish, maybe the Spanish one. You got two, maybe 3 teams are in it. No, so we've got the best football in the world. You look at, for me, like Jude Bellingham. You look at Jude Bellingham. The very fact that he had to leave England to go and cement his career and turn into the amazing player that he is. You look at Bukayo Saka. You look at Phil Foden. You look at Calvin Phillips. You look at all of the Declan Rice. You look at our defenders. You look at you look at our defenders. Slabbin I thought played quite well, but you look at what we have, and that team is as good as any other. And I think it's down to the manager. I don't think the manager's good enough. I think
I agree. And again, I've got this to show you as well. With Southgate's now staying, but I pulled off Southgate's stats. This is quite revealing, I think. So his overall win rate is 63%. The highest out of all of those is from qualifying, 81%. Being made to tournament, 65%. Friendly, 65%. Nation League, 33%. I don't really buy into the Nations League stuff anyway. But his record's not that great. People are looking at the fact that he's got to a Euros final and a World Cup semi-final. They look at that. But when you actually break it down, and he has now been in charge for a long time, that's not that great. That's not that great a percentage. So the problem I had was that I don't think that there's anyone else who's really ready to take over right now. I think that had Graham Potter had not gone to Chelsea, he could
Yeah.
have walked into this job now. Graham Potter could have quite easily have walked into this England job now if he was still at Brighton. But
Yeah.
I think at the moment, I don't know who you go to. I don't literally know where you go and who could do a better job. So we're stuck with him. Let's be honest. We are.
I'm of the opinion that Graham Potter's going to lose his job fairly soon, if I'm honest.
Yeah, but then that'll scupper him from England anyway. England are not going to then take him.
Won't get the England role. But no, yeah, you've got Henderson, who he's Henderson. Like, there are better players. We have better players than that guy. We have the better capability within the England team. That England team actually has the capability to win something, or at least go all of the way. We should have beaten. I mean, I still think we should have beaten France purely the fact that they had 12 men on the pitch and one of them was dressed in black. Did you see? By the way, did you see the size of the referee for the World Cup final? We need about 300 of him.
He was good as well. He was a good referee.
He reminded me of Chiellini.
Kalina.
He reminded me of Kalina, who'd been on steroids and been working out in the gym. He was huge.
He was a cross between Kalina and Howard Webb. I thought Howard Webb was a big old brute, man.
Yeah.
But he was, I think that was the final was good, but he also helped it be good because the ref was very good. He let things go. A couple of questionable decisions, but that's football. But I think as a whole, he got major stuff. He got most of it right. He was a very good ref, I thought. So fair play to him. We do need to praise these refs when they do good stuff.
He was brilliant. I'd love him all day long. Maybe if we could sacrifice Tierney, not like Kieran.
Paul Tierney. Yeah.
Paul Tierney. If we were to sacrifice Tierney and bring that, I mean, literally sacrifice him.
I agree.
And bring that guy over, I'd be more than happy.
I agree.
In there, but no, I thought he was very good, to be honest with you.
So listen, before we leave the World Cup for good, we move on to Arsenal. I want to share the one first of all that you shared with me earlier. So there's a lot of these going around actually. There's a lot of these things going on with some various tattoos and that. But I think the one you sent me was possibly my favourite. So this is a Messi tattoo from the World Cup. Look,
just amazing.
Do we know what part of the body this is on?
I was looking at it. I didn't even think about that, to be honest.
It's just brilliant. It's just, I mean, it's shocking, really. I mean, we don't describe it, really, do we?
It's the comment that I think made it for me of what Messi's actually kissing. And I think they mistook some of the carvings of the World Cup for veins. But there you go. Make your own, to people.
But there wasn't. I found another one as well, which made me laugh. Not for the same reasons, but this was another one that I saw. Look at that. And I did. I know. Look what's going on here. I mean, I did get a closer look.
That's something on the Xbox game. That's how he's going to look in about 10, 15 years' time when he finally.
They've put him through one of those things on the phone which ages you. That's going to be Messi when he retires in about 15 years. But he's this fella's obviously it's on his back. So the bloke's saying, "Yeah, it's perfect, mate. Don't worry about it." He's stuck with this.
Oh my God!
It's terrible. It's terrible.
Oh my
God! It is terrible. It is. I know, and that's forever. That's forever. Listen, very, very quickly. There's a cup. I'm not going to share all the stuff I've got because we're going to be all night. But there's remember the kind Gooner? I was sharing you the stuff last night. Who I understand's blocked you now. Is that right?
Gooner, come on! I haven't said it. He
blocked me too.
Yeah.
But little does he know that I'm also following on a couple of other Twitter accounts that I have as well. So I can still pull off his wondrous tweets. So I've only got a few from him this week because I don't want to give him too much time. But this is just giving you a snapshot that I've put of the kind of drivel that I have to listen to all the time. So if you're an Arsenal fan who would take fourth this season, you basically sing a song about a man needing exactly what we need, yet finishing 8th, 5th, and 4th. Your standards are in the gutter. This is just a flavour of him. He's so anti-Arteta. He's so anti-Eddie. He's anti-Odegaard. Would rather see a front four of Martinelli, Saka, Reece, and ESR, ditch Eddie and Odegaard. Lee Dixon's the worst commentator in football. I don't necessarily think he's the worst. Saka is so soppy sometimes. Arsenal fans would vilify Pepe for that. That's doing the World Cup. So I just kind of screen printed. He calls himself Kind Gooner, but he's so negative. He's so negative. It's unreal.
I've had a few chats with him. I've had a few chats.
Yeah, me too. And then obviously he's picking on Foden here. What happened to generational Foden? So overrated. Stop being negative, Kind Gooner. Stop being negative. But this is the one. This is the one last night where this is where he blocked me for this comment. Cedric Suarez down, El Neni Holding and Nketiah, Odegaard, Xhaka, Arteta, Edu, and the Cronkies to go. He's saying one down, all those to go. So I just put, I worry for you, as you can see, like that. And that's why he blocked me. That was the tweet that was my reply. That why he blocked me.
The tweet that broke the camel's back.
I mean, yeah, but I've reached out to him a few times, and I've said to him very, very nicely. I've said, look, you've obviously got very different views to me, and I said, and that's absolutely fine. Everyone's entitled to their views, but please explain to me where they've come from. You tell me where these have come from.
Yeah.
You give me some substance to why your views are. You tell me why you dislike Odegaard so much. You tell me what you've got against Eddie, what you get against Arteta. Tell me, and he can't. And this is the problem I've got with him. This is the problem. I've got no problem with people having opinions, but at least back it up with some sort of substance or reasoning. He can't do that. I've reached out to him on my other things as well, so we'll see what comes of that. I'm not giving up on him because I maybe there's something we're missing. Maybe a new generation of fans sees things completely different, which brings me on to my next stuff. Maybe we're missing stuff. So it brings me on to my next sort of stuff, all right? Again, I've got some fun stuff to finish on.
I'm off that age where I miss things, you know.
I do too. So there was this tweet went out by the Ghana Gooner, and I've got no problems with Ghana Gooner. I follow him. He's a pretty decent guy. I've not got a problem with this tweet. Where it goes, Arsenal fans, you're told you would lose one of these matches, but eventually go on to win the title. Which match will you choose and why? I don't like hypothetical stuff anyway. But I don't necessarily have a problem with this. I don't necessarily have a problem with him putting that out because fair enough.
He's funny.
He's a very good lad actually. But it's the replies that he got, particularly this guy, Arsenal content. Spurs, they would be more satisfied because beating Arsenal is like a trophy to them. So out of all the games, Spurs. And then I replied as well. I know it's a hypothetical, but why would you ever choose to lose to Spurs? I would love to banter them. How would you banter them? Like they would be proud of the win, and I would paste their tweets with Matt Smith lifting another trophy before their living legends lift any. Like I kind of get his angle.
I see who's coming from.
I kind of do, and I put each to their own, but makes zero sense to me. They would always say they beat us even when we won the league. That's the way I'm like, friends. And he's saying, to be fair, we have been losing to them at their home. Their win would not affect me as we would eventually win the league. Just imagine finishing above the team for 5 consecutive seasons. This tells me that he's quite a young fan because he's highlighting.
I get what you're saying because statistically, we've talked about this. Statistically, North London are we at theirs, we will lose.
Yeah. But this is where I'm coming from, right? This is my mentality still, even a hypothetical. I don't want to lose to Spurs.
I just don't want. No. Spurs.
This is what I'm trying to get at. Like, this is why we need to get people like the Kind Gooner or Arsenal content on board because there might be different views out there, and there might be something that I'm completely missing because no way would I ever, even hypothetical, want to lose to Spurs. But this guy's okay with it because we'd still win the league. No, I don't want them to say to us, yeah, you might have won the league, but we still beat you this year. I'd hate that. That would annoy me. That would be a little chink in my happiness.
Every Leicester fan I ever speak to, I always turn around and say, yeah, we won the league, you haven't. I turn around and say, well, we were the only ones to beat you home and away when you did win the league. So I know it's petty. I know it's very small and it's pathetic, but it's that one thing. I don't want to lose those. Ghana Gooner knows exactly what he's doing there.
Of course he is, and I don't mind that. That, but it's just like I don't know. I'm going. I don't know. Oh, by the way, Loki's put something that we can share. There we go. Let's surely that garment sports director would have a Slazenger badge. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And I'm assuming this was about the Messi one.
Yeah, let's not put that. Oh God, he's
I've
put it
also got Chris in the chat. How we doing, Chris? Everton Chris is in Toppy Chris in the chat. How we doing, mate?
Hello,
Good
mate.
to see you. Football is driven by opinions, yeah, and I'm fine with that. I'm absolutely fine with having opinions, but back it up with some substance. Back it up with some little substance for me. There's also this like I don't know. I don't know if I want to go there. We'll save this one for next week because it could open a can of worms. So I'm going to end with some funny stuff if that's all right. Because like I've noticed we are over the top of the hour. You know, always we go along, always we go on. So a couple of things that I thought I'd share. Obviously, we had some really bad weather last week. Don't know if you saw that. Crazy stuff going on. All right, you know.
Listen, you've got to love a West Ham fan.
Yeah. And I thought very topical, seeing as we're playing them this week. Well done. That gets double thumbs up from me.
Yeah,
so, yeah, well done.
Boys.
There was a lot of snow down in East London, you know, down there we were.
Awful,
so yeah,
awful time.
Definitely. So I've got, as always, I've got some what's hot and what's not to finish off. What's not is becoming a theme now. Arsenal Football Club.
Stop it.
Another rain.
Stop it.
I know. And to be fair, I don't mind this. It's not a bad looking piece of kit. Okay.
What is it for?
That's our new training range. It's like the new training range. We've been wearing it out in Dubai. They've been wearing it out when we're in our hot weather. But it's still, from my calculations, the 12th range this season. And we're only 14 games into the season. It's the 12th range.
£17 into the season. If you had your season tickets, every single, if we bought original equipment.
And again, they've got Marquinhos in here. He's not happy, is he? I mean, he's not getting a game on the field, so they're just dragging him in like, come on, model this for a year, whatever.
2-2, by the way. Mo Salah's just pulled one back against Man City.
Interesting. I don't really care. Maybe they'll get injured. I don't know. We'll see. So that's my what's not this week. Just for Arsenal, and they'll probably be in God knows how many times this year. But yeah, just leave us alone for a bit. Leave us alone. So there's a couple of what's hots I want to do. One is a little bit different. It's going back to the World Cup. There's a couple of things here. But it's a picture. There's a photograph I found online of Messi's penalty in the penalty shootout. Do you remember that? It was a real nonchalant penalty. But look at this for a photo.
Wow.
Look at that for me. That's an awesome photograph. That is just like.
And Lloris of his Tottenham. Oh, no, that's not Tottenham. Yeah. So just looking back.
I just saw that photo and I thought, I've got to share that. He could not have pictured that any better, hitting that net.
That is a stunning shot. It's just
a thing of beauty. That is an absolute thing of beauty. And I mentioned earlier about Alexis McAllister.
Yes.
Did you see the tweet? It was Instagram actually, but it got shared on Twitter from his girlfriend. Okay, so you're like this, but maybe don't read it. Maybe don't read it out loud is what I'll say. So Alexis McAllister's comments on his girlfriend's Instagram post. I love you, champion. No words. We did it. Let's go Argentina. But look at his response.
Okay. Yes. Oh, right. Okay. Frisky little bunny. Yeah.
I love you. Let's
go forth and multiply.
Exactly. So this tells me he might be a bit of a fun. He might be fun. So I think he's a good player. He's obviously likes a bit of a joke as well. That's why I kind of endeared himself to me a little bit more.
I think so. Yeah, maybe he'd be good in the Arsenal lot. He'd get on well with Loki, that's for sure.
Exactly. I mean, if Loki's still in the chat, I'd love to know your comment on this one. Loki's actually got a good question in there, which we'll come to in a minute. Two more little what's hots. There's obviously the Football League's still been going on recently. And there was this picture that I like following the away fans. There was a picture, I think it was Sheffield Wednesday going down to Exeter. This was on their train. Proper buffet.
What?
They done a proper little buffet on their way down.
So they've got a Costco room sandwiches, the buffet. Love that.
We had them before with a proper keg on there. Buffet. I'm loving following the away fans on their journeys. It was excellent. But the best thing I've seen this week, Lincoln fans have took it up another level. Lincoln played Southampton in the EFL Cup. I think it was last night. They lost, but these fans, they travelled in you would not believe it, right? They travelled like this. They hired a boat to go to Southampton. They hired I'm guessing it wasn't actually from Lincoln, but they because well, it's on a river, but I doubt that. But they actually got a boat and and went down to Southampton. I love that.
That's class.
I mean, like that's just brilliant. Like what a way to go. Like, of all the things,
did they
train
on there, a moose boosh on there.
I would expect that a lot going on there. I mean, like someone got some Christmas bonuses early in there.
Just don't take McAllister with you and his girlfriend, because you might need to hose the couple of berths down on there. How you might end up with a berth the way he's going.
Exactly. So I love that. That for me was brilliant. So let's just go back quickly to Loki's question. He's put in a comment here. So what's your favourite Boxing Day game you've attended? So I used to attend a lot of Boxing Day games when it was as you know, I said the other night I can't go this weekend.
Shame.
What was good? I'm trying to think. Used to go to a lot of home. I remember some really bad ones. I remember Luton away back in the 80s and 90s. That was pretty awful. There isn't one that actually springing to mind right now. I'm sure there must be some memorable stuff. Problem is, I remember games. I don't remember when they were.
Yeah,
So,
do you know what? It's not going to be a Boxing Day one, but it's going to be the most aggressive and argumentative one that I ever talk about. Is actually the New Year's Day one from last year, because that to me gave me a glimpse of what we could be when we played when Tierney basically robbed us of that game against Man City.
Oh yeah, that was New Year's Day, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was New Year's Day. So it's not, I know it's not Boxing Day, but the New Year's Day, that is probably one of the best games I've ever seen us play, other than beating Tottenham. That's obviously always good. But it was just amazing to watch what we're now seeing week in, week out. From mediocrity to actually, we just got a glimpse of what this group could be. And we were robbed. We were absolutely robbed. I don't care what anybody says. Call me bitter and twisted, whatever you want to do. We were absolutely robbed that day, and it was probably one of the best games of football I've ever seen. I loved it. I enjoyed it so much and hated it so much. And all the Emirates was just ringing with indignation as to what Tierney did. How that guy sleeps at night, I have no idea.
No, I remember that. I actually, I was traveling back from, LA, and we arrived back. I wasn't at the game because we arrived that morning, but I remember having like the first half on in a car, taxi on the way back, and then watch the second half. And first half just sounded amazing, and then it was like, this is unreal. Like how we ended up losing, not even winning, but how we ended up losing that game was just unreal. But at the same time, playing so well against City does give us, food for thought. Loki's put his one in here. 82-83 Spurs, 2-0, 54,000, 11 a.m. kickoff. So that was the Boxing Day. It used to be 11 a.m. kickoffs. Then they moved them a bit afternoon. Now 8 o'clock. And like for me, like I mentioned to the other night, I can't go on Monday for two reasons mainly. Like one, it is Boxing Day and I've got a family. And two, it's an 8 o'clock kickoff and there's train strikes.
Yeah.
For me. That's the problem I've got. It's not so much the getting there, it's the getting back is going to be the issue. Yeah. If it was a daytime game, easier. You can make more plans.
Yeah.
But yeah, train strikes don't help. So I managed to sell them on this time, unfortunately. But I will be watching it on telly. Don't you worry about that. But I am gutted. I used to quite like doing the old Boxing Day down a pub in the morning, or it used to be a lovely little kind of tradition. But with TV involved, they kind of eke out these traditions bit by bit, don't they? They just like dilute them bit by bit.
Loki's got as long as there's money. But for me, I will be there. So if anybody comes and finds me, we'll have a beer together and have a little chat. So I'm going to be there. I'm driving down as I always do. So I'm going to have a quiet Christmas and generally just get into it.
Sounds good to me. And then we're literally bang on football, Arsenal, all the way through.
As you know from the North London derby, for the next North London, I'll be in Dallas. And I will be with the Dallas Arsenal Supporters Club at the Londoner. So hopefully I can get a live stream and get us going. And I'm not really sure how I'm going to end up by the end of the game. But
not very well. I know that.
I've had a few threats of alcohol. So, so I've had a few. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to us actually battering them as well.
I hope so. Can't wait. Because I tell you what, we've got some really good games coming up. We've got West Ham, got Newcastle. Before long, we've got United, North London derby. There's some lovely fixtures coming up. Let's be honest. Let's just get through them and see where we're at.
the day before. So here's the other one. The day before, we're going to have the Manchester derby as well, which have a big. That's going to have a big sort of conversational piece around where we end up. For us in the league.
Oh, 100%, 100%. So listen, I think I just want to say before we leave, I want to wish yourself and everyone else who is watching the show Merry Christmas, or Happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate this time of year. Celebrate it. Enjoy your time with your family, your loved ones, whatever you like to do. Jolly, be merry, up the Arsenal. I wish you all much love.
And the same to everybody. Thank you for listening to us rant on, and we just want you to all have a really, really great break. I'm so looking forward to getting back to the football. I'm so looking back to spending some time with this man over a few beers, talking the usual nonsense that we do.
And we will still do a pub podcast at some point. We were hoping to do one, or before around this time of year, but it just hasn't happened because of the World Cup, various stuff. But we will do one in the new year. We'll get it sorted. What we want to do is we want to prop up in a pub in North London somewhere, do a live podcast. If anyone else in the pub wants to get involved, we'll do that. We just want to have a bit of fun.
But until then, mate, thank you so much for a really fantastic year, and I wish you and your family prosperity and health and happiness and everything that goes with it. And to all of our fans and followers, you're fools for watching and listening to us, but thank you for doing it. And don't forget, North London is red.
I even got my Arsenal tonight, but come on, you guys.
Get in there. Extra. Have a nice